Atom Smasher turned out to be a pretty weak villain in the game, but there is one really interesting interaction early on in the story that a lot of players may have missed on their first playthrough. When you're at Konpeki Plaza with Jackie stealing the data shard, at one point you're almost caught red-handed and have to hide inside Yorinobu's room while Saburo Arasaka and Atom Smasher themselves enter the room as well. On first glance, it seems like you narrowly avoided being detected, but upon further inspection, that may not be the case. You see, there's an cyberware mod called a threat detector that, when equipped, shows any enemies in the area that are aware of your presence and outlines them in red. And lo and behold, if you have this equipped during the cutscene, you can see Atom Smasher clearly outlined in red, staring right at you and Jackie. Could this mean Atom Smasher knew the whole time? Were you set up from the beginning? Did Atom know Saburo was about to be killed? This would have major ramifications on the story of the game. Or it could just be that all the bosses in the game have a script that allows them to see you at all times for gameplay purposes. But let's ignore that, because that's not fun. As we all know, Cyberpunk was initially released in a less than ideal state. But some might not know about the 4 gigs that were cut from the game but are still in the files. These 4 gigs are actually being updated by CD Projekt Red to this day and will likely be added in a future patch release, or at least with time. The first gig, and by far my favorite and the most interesting, is Desperate Measures and tells the story of Pedro, a corp and very proficient netrunner who is trying to take over an automated Zeta Tech transporter, so he enlists your help to get it done. But you see, that's not the intriguing part. Pedro is a good man, but as you talk to him more and notice he is sitting in a wheelchair, you ask and he confirms that he has ALS, which for those of you who don't know is one of the few diseases yet to be cured in the Cyberpunk universe. And as you can hear about on car radios from time to time, Pedro has found a black market dealer in the USSR that is willing to help him convert his mind into a new body for a fee, and Pedro needs to find the cash. The quest is super interesting because it touches on a lot of lore and backstory we don't hear about in the Cyberpunk universe, and it's a shame it's not in the base game as of recording this video. Next up, Concrete Cage Trap is about a man named Tiny Mike who's being chased down by Militech agents. He's hiding out in an abandoned apartment building, and after figuring out one of many ways inside, you have to help him sneak or shoot his way out. You get him out safely back to the car, and Regina thanks you for your time. It's a pretty cookie-cutter mission. The third gig, Hothead, tells the story of an NPC trapped by a Militech netrunner who has put a virus on their chip, allowing them to be traced constantly. You have to drive around the city defending your car from enemies while your assailant tries to get rid of the virus. Only thing is, no cars come to fight you and nothing actually happens. And that's because this quest probably stopped development after shooting cars in Cyberpunk was potentially removed as a feature and left in the game files only as a remnant for us to see to this day. And the final gig, Nasty Hangover, is a request from Rogue to break into a warehouse and find Carl Gangsky, who was out drunk and got kidnapped by some Kang Tao operators because he has a chip in his head housing super confidential corpo secrets. So you break in and steal the chip and bring it back to Carl and either watch him get taken out by the company operatives or help him to keep the chip. Another pretty straightforward and quick quest. So this one and the last one are less of a conspiracy and more so confirmed, but a lot of people might not know about this one specifically. There's a rare line of dialogue you can hear at one of the gay clubs in the game where Silverhand confirms that he has swung both ways in the past. It's not surprising coming from a famous rocker boy, but it's an interesting insight nonetheless. Here, take a listen for yourself.
Last time I was here, I was with Carrie. This Latino hunk gave us a lap dance. Cheeks so smooth, I could almost see my own reflection.
I thought you preferred girls.
Mostly. Now and then I swung both ways.
For those unfamiliar with space travel, a mass driver is essentially just a massive platform that helps spaceships launch into space or orbit from the ground. And buried deep in the game files is actually such a structure. And even more curiously, it fits precisely into the currently existing spaceport in the game. This mass driver is assumably cut content for traveling into space, or will be used in future expansions where we will get to travel to the Crystal Palace in space as V and discover it as an all-new zone. Either way though, it's quite obvious that CD Projekt Red has put a lot more thought into space travel in this game than we may have initially thought. And I am already hoping this idea comes to fruition in the future, because it's probably one of the coolest places we could possibly go in the Cyberpunk universe.